Six Flags America is considered to be one of the lower tiered parks in the Six Flags chain. In fact, it's somewhat considered to be the dumping ground for the Six Flags chain, but anyways, filled with cloned roller coasters that you can find at other Six Flags parks, this place really lacks a true standout attraction. Sure, it has Superman Ride of Steel, which is their best coaster by far, but beyond that, their quality of options drops significantly. In this video, I'm going to discuss which roller coasters could be on the chopping block at Six Flags America. To get the most obvious one out of the way, Batwing, which has been closed for a few weeks now, and to be honest, the buzzards can be seen in the sky circling the coaster. Firehawk, which was at Kings Island, was demolished last year, making Batwing one of the two remaining Flying Dutchman coaster models by Vekoma. I don't know if the manufacturer even makes parts for this model still, which would make repairs quite burdensome on the park. I also hear that this coaster models are very unreliable and have intensive maintenance costs. Batwing takes up a decent piece of land in the back of the park, so if you were to remove it, the park would have many options on what they could replace with this attraction. Our next coaster to face the axe is WildOne. This wooden coaster has been operating since 1986, which means that it's only 33 years old, but it also hasn't aged well. WildOne could be a good contender for the RMC treatment. The ride layout is a simple out and back layout, so it could get transformed into a shorter but airtime packed RMC. This ride isn't an ace coaster classic, so I don't think any coaster enthusiast will be whining if it goes away. The park could also opt to knock it down, but the ride doesn't take up that much space, so I think the RMC treatment is the best way to go. Roar, the park's GCI, is our next contender. It's not a terrible wooden coaster. In fact, if it wasn't so rough, it would actually be a pretty decent ride. I hear depending on where you sit, the experience will vary, but my first and only ride wasn't the greatest, so I opted not to ride it again. Personally, I could see the park simply retracting a good portion of the ride. This would fix many of the problems that this coaster faces, but just like WildOne, Roar is also another contender for the RMC treatment. This could make for one twisty RMC creation, but if I were to choose which coaster to save and which one to RMC, I would pick WildOne to get the RMC treatment and retrack Roar. Mind Your Racer, which is a Vekoma SLC, is also a garbage roller coaster. It's rough, full of headbanging, and the overall ride experience is in no way or shape original, since there are like multiple Vekoma SLC clones around the world. Now, will this ride get removed anytime soon? Of course not. It's not located in an ideal space, so I don't know why you would knock it down, and honestly, what would you replace it with? I'm sure getting spare parts for this coaster model must be rather easy, so removing sounds pointless. Sorry, SLC haters, this ride's not going anywhere. Finally, the last coaster that I think could face extinction is Joker's Jinx. This is a launching roller coaster by Premier Rides. It's an older, outdated model by the manufacturer, and it isn't extremely reliable. It's also situated in a decent piece of land between Superman Ride of Steel and the rest of the park. The park would have options if they were to remove it. Also, I could see them simply removing it and not replacing it with anything. But with all the other options on today's list, I think Joker's Jinx is safe for now. Other coasters that are safe: Superman Ride of Steel, Firebird. The park just reopened this roller coaster, added the floorless trains, and gave it a nice paint job, so yeah, it's not going anywhere. Ragin' Cajun. It's a spinning wild mouse, a good family coaster that doesn't take up much space, so it's not going anywhere. Great Chase, the kiddie coaster. It's not going anywhere also because, well, it's a kiddie coaster. Well, that's my list. To summarize, here's my order from most likely to least likely. Number 1, Batwing. This thing will not be around in 5 years. I could be wrong, but I'm probably right here. Sorry, guys. Number 2, WildOne or Roar. They're both tied at number 2. It could go either way. It just depends on, I guess, will be a surprise, but I have a feeling one of these will get the RMC treatment. Number 3, Joker's Jinx. I'm moving this one on up. I think it's safe for some time, but in the next 10 years, it could be getting the axe. Number 4, Mind Eraser. I wish this was number 1, but it's not, and frankly, it's not going to be going anywhere until the ride faces a major breakdown. And the rest I'm saying are safe. Alright, well, that's my getting the axe list for Six Flags America. What do you think? Is Batwing facing its final days now? Will Roar or WildOne get the RMC treatment? Let me know in the comments. As always, please subscribe and check out my other Getting the Axe videos. Till next time, this is X Scream Thrills.